All right, so in this video, we're going to be talking about different descriptions of depersonalization. These are descriptions that people have written out. And if you have a description of depersonalization, make sure to let me know in the comments below, and I will use your comments in a future video, assuming that it is a pretty good description of what's going on. And try to just describe it in your own words. The reason why I want to do this series is because it really encourages people. Depersonalization and derealization are impossible to describe outside of metaphoric language. And so whenever you're trying to describe your symptoms and you can't really find a way to describe it, it leads to a lot of frustration, because a lot of times on the surface, everything looks fine, but on the inside, you feel like death. You feel detached from your body, detached from your personality, detached from your thoughts. And then with derealization, everything feels fake and dreamlike. Your life feels like a movie. But then, you can carry on a conversation and everything looks fine. And then you're trying to describe it to people, but you just can't seem to find the words to describe it. Well, first of all, if people haven't been through it, they're not going to understand it. So don't have that expectation. But if anything, just for your own encouragement, to give you maybe some language for how you're feeling, we're going to do this video series for you. First one on depersonalization, and then also one on derealization. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see the future videos about this series. Click like if this encourages you. Let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling. 1:31 intro. I'm trying to keep the intro short. Okay. This person said, you feel like your body isn't your own body. It's something strange and distant as a vehicle you don't drive. And I will tell you, after having gone through the symptoms myself, that is probably one of the better descriptions that is going to be in this series. Just generally speaking, like you kind of feel like your soul and your body are separate entities. You feel like they are not connected. And you've gone your whole life and never had any sense of disconnection to your body. But then all of a sudden, you look at your hands, you may also look in the mirror and see a stranger, or you look at your legs and you feel detached. And it's absolutely terrifying. It's very existential. It's basically almost like existential torment, right? Our physical body is how we're connecting with the material world, and yet we don't feel connected to it. It's like the way that I described it to people whenever I was going through it is it felt like I was experiencing my body from the outside in instead of the inside out. And that's really what depersonalization is. It's essentially whenever you become numb to interoception. And there's other brain mechanisms that shut down that lead to it as well. But interoception is the experience of the embodied self. And whenever you're in a trauma state, which is why depersonalization and derealization happen, your body has different defense mechanisms that it kicks in to try to help you to mitigate the potential pain of being eaten by a lion. And so your body starts to become kind of numb to what's played out inside. You become numb to your interoceptive system, and thus you're experiencing your body without interoception, without that inner experience. And so thus your experience of your body is very detached, because you're used to experiencing your body with that interoceptive experience. And so anyway, with that being said, another thing, just to get into the kind of neuroscience of it, is there's something in the brain called the mohawk of self-awareness. It's several brain structures that kind of forms almost like a mohawk in the brain that starts to shut down in a trauma state. And this is ultimately why you start to feel detached. But I think that the body shuts down your interoceptive experience, again, as a defense mechanism, because if you're being eaten by a lion, you don't want to feel what's happening in your body. That would be extremely overwhelming. So anyway, with that being said, let's move on. The next one. Oh, feeling like I'm not me. Like I'm looking at someone else's body, and when I'm looking at my hands, I can't grasp that they are in fact a part of me. I could stare at myself in the mirror all day and not feel like they are my eyes looking back. That's a very good description for sure. Next one. You feel out of your body. You just feel numb. You feel like an observer. I hear that a lot. And that's how I felt too. Like you're just watching a movie or a TV show about your life that you don't have any control over. That's deep. You just feel like you're on autopilot. You look in the mirror and see yourself, and you just can't believe it's you staring back. Everything just feels blank. So you can kind of see the common thread here, right? Like, you kind of feel like your body's a robot, like you're on autopilot, and you don't really feel in control of your body. And this kind of combined derealization as well, kind of the movie, TV show description. But anyway, yeah, it's extremely terrifying. So the next one, this person says, when it starts, I can feel the things that make me human start to slip away. I lose all sense of emotion, my mind goes blank, and I feel as though my body does not exist. I go through tasks and actions like a well-programmed robot, and when I speak, it's without my own tongue. I sound lifeless. Ugh. I'm so sorry for having to go through this again. It was literally the most, like, I would not wish depersonalization on my worst enemy. Like, it literally was the scariest thing I've ever been through. And lastly, I think, let me make sure, I'm going to do 5 per video. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah. Okay. So here's the last one for this video. So it feels like you're witnessing your own life behind a glass wall. Like nobody sees or hears you, but you can see and hear everything very clearly, even clearer than usual, actually. You see your body move and you hear your voice talk, but you have zero control over what you're saying or doing. And then you just keep banging on the glass wall, hoping someone would notice you're not really there inside the body. Again, I know it's very uncomfortable even to talk about, but the benefit of talking about this is some of you watch this and you're like, oh my gosh, finally somebody's explaining. I have worked, I'm not kidding you, with hundreds of people who told me that they spent well over a decade going through symptoms precisely because they couldn't describe the symptoms to their doctor or to a therapist or anybody. And they didn't even know what to Google. They didn't know what to look for. And they said that, you know, with social media just blowing up so much and, you know, it becoming normal for people to have smartphones and things like that, that really expedited their recovery path, because now they started to hear descriptions of what they were going through. And then they were like, oh, that's depersonalization, realization. I didn't even know that. And then now they could get specific help for those symptoms. So anyway, with that being said, I know it's not comfortable to talk about these things, but I hope that there's at least a few people that watch this that were like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I've been going through. I'm so thankful to have been able to find a language for my experience. And that is it. We do have our 5 shifts masterclass to heal from depersonalization, realization, anxiety, panic, trauma. It's in a link below. At the end, there is an invitation to work with me and my team to help overcome these symptoms. We do have a program where we work with people from all around the world who see absolutely amazing results. If you're interested in applying for that, make sure to click that button. Click like if this helped you, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. And we'll be doing the next video in this series probably next week. All right, talk to you soon.